Back at it again with a new Deadpan Diaries. Yep, here we are. It's been a while. It's been a couple months. A couple months, and lately I've been up to trying to get my foot in some doors as it is. Usually people be closing that door, breaking my foot along the way. But I'm here and let's get to it. Let's do the damn thing. And what's been on my mind lately? Well, first of all, it's a little behind at the party, like most things. Day late, dollar short. I finally saw the new Malcolm in the Middle. I guess it would be like reboot cool. It's not quite a reboot. It's a sequel series, but it seems like it's setting up maybe potential if they want to do reboots or something. And basically, it's 4 episodes. It was supposed to be a movie thing, and it was a 4 episode joint. Put on Hulu. Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair. Rather, perfect name for it. Excuse me a minute. Perfect name for it. Really well done. Real quick, if you ever want to hear a fantastic Malcolm in the Middle podcast, you should listen to Life. I believe it. Hold on, if I remember correctly, the name changed. It was Life is Unfair, a Malcolm in the Middle podcast. Then Life's Unfair, Malcolm in the Middle podcast became Real Peace Up sitcom when they went for the entire show and started doing that kind of their own thing. Jake and David, the host of the show, did where they were, talking about other episodes of other sitcoms. Then it's still that, but they came back recently to do Life's Still Unfair, the miniseries. And but I would highly suggest listening to the entire thing. It's really good. But anyway, talking about this. First of all, this was really amazingly done. I thought it was pretty damn great. It was not perfect, but then again, I mean, what is perfect, Thing is, like, you wouldn't want a perfect Malcolm in the Middle show. I don't think you want that because the show itself is not perfect. It has its flaws, and that's fine. Everything does. But what we got here, there's stuff that I wish we could have got. Because like the unfeasible, like I wish there would have been a way to have Otto make an appearance, but I understand why he can't. But rest in peace, Kid of Mars. You were fantastic in what we got. And there's other stuff like really cool to have Eric Persolum in there, even for like one scene. But I understand he retired from acting. And the guy they got to play Dewey looks a lot like Dewey, grown up. So fantastic casting choice. And things I liked about it. I really liked the dynamic of future Malcolm, if you will, him and his daughter Leah. So yeah, I like their dynamics. They had good chemistry together. I like the fact that we got Reese has changed, but he's still Reese. Francis is the character who felt the most like just the best evolution of the character he had at the end of that show. He just picked it up right again. How going on a drug trip was amazing. I did not expect the cameo from Richie, but it was great to see him. That actor, I don't know his name off the top of my head. He's also great in Raising Hope, the actor who plays Richie from Malcolm in the Middle. Watch Raising Hope too, if you haven't seen it. Raising Hope's great. And I wish we had a little more of Jamie. Shame we didn't. Wish we got a little more of Stevie. A lot of this is like wishing we had more. But what we did get, we got some cool stuff here, some great moments. Some of my favorite bits was like how doing the drugs, going on this crazy trip where he's talking to himself. If you haven't watched this, I mean, spoilers, just point out. The first episode, just because like, even though it didn't have a lot of the whole characters around, it felt it's like such a warm feeling of like a warm hot cup of cocoa or whatever on a cold day. Going back to this, especially at a time when I needed this in my life. It was nice to have it. Felt good. Just the first episode, this fact that it was still funny, because there was that worry in your head. Oh, is this gonna be funny? Or what can I do here? Because the original show was, I do think, one of the best sitcoms of all time. And even in the last season, which did fall off in my opinion, even kind of the one before that a little bit, still was pretty great. I mean, things wish we could have. Cynthia would have been a night leaving just one scene with Cynthia. Bit of a shame we didn't have that. Her to be two things I would want to be her could be or Cynthia. Like, if I only had to choose one or the other, I might choose her could be, but okay. But you know, like the first episode set up, the beginning of the first episode with Malcolm running away was hilarious. The burgeoning feud between Kelly and Reese was so well done. Kelly and Leah, both his characters were great. Tristan and Malcolm's girlfriend was also a great character and well written. I love the titty titty bang bang joke. Fucking amazing. Craig was really great in how he played the role of being creepy and weird, still after all these years, finding new ways to be creepy and weird. Maybe toning it down a bit in the sense of the way he was before was a bit too much sometimes, especially in one particular episode. So maybe they like kind of dialed it back but gave him new weight. It's kind of a weird area they're going for here. But like a lot of this was me going like, oh, like doing the meme, you know. But there's something I want to talk about. It relates to the character of Kelly and a lot of stupid fucking idiots on well, just about anywhere on the stupid internet. Let me get a drink real fast. This got some blood here. Nah, that's a strawberry daiquiri. Margaritaville, baby. Oh, alright, so Kelly, who is so there's a little setup here. Kelly is a new character, but was technically in Malcolm in the Middle at the very end. This is the baby that Lois got pregnant with at the end of Malcolm in the Middle, which seemed like it was just a one-off joke, you know? Just like they think they're out of the woods and they got another kid coming, because of course they did. But Kelly, many years later, which is let me see if I like, I think it's 20 years later. Yeah, 20 years later. Kelly is non-binary, which is pretty cool in his own self. It's cool to have a non-binary character in Malcolm in the Middle, and also is partially based off of the fact that the creator of the show, Linwood Boomer, himself has a non-binary child. And if you don't know, like, backstory of Malcolm in the Middle, one of the things that the show is based off, the original show is based off a lot of stuff in his childhood. I think at some point they diverged, like, it's not all stuff that happened, but, like, I don't think his brother was trying to mail himself to China to fight a pen pal to piss him off or whatever. But, like, stuff like the red dress episode where the red dress gets burned and they're trying to find out who burned it and Lois keeps punishing all of them, nobody tells. That did happen, stuff like that, and there's other stuff. So, you could look at the original Malcolm Middle as sort of like being, he's Malcolm and this is some of the stuff in his life that he went through and dealt with and stuff, and maybe would like sit a little more humorously. And this you kind of look at he's Hal dealing with all this stuff from this kid, including his non-binary child. And I think Kelly has written well as a good character. Just like I think most of these characters are written pretty well. Exception of we don't get a lot of Jamie, so it's hard to say for him. But point out, yeah. So you got now because of this, because the setup of this thing, this whole 4-part thing they're doing here, is that they're getting the 40th anniversary of Lois and Hal, and they're everybody's going together. And part of that is that we see a thing where Kelly's telling the story that when they were 5, they felt wrong, like there was something wrong with them. They came home and they were sad and they were upset, and they asked Hal, Is there something wrong with me? And Hal just was quiet for a minute and goes, you could be nicer to your mother. It's a really sweet moment. It's wonderful. Oh, of course, this moment in this journal, Kelly is being singled out by the stupidest chuds in the fucking world. The kind of idiot motherfuckers who would vote for Trump who voted for Trump 3 times and would vote for him again and again, even as he continues to fuck him over in every way possible. And, everybody else along with it. These kind of bastards. These kind of people who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Who don't have 2 brain cells to rub together. And they're bitching about for things like Malcolm Middle went woke. And they're pushing ideologies. And like, first of all, Malcolm Middle was already woke, you stupid motherfuckers. Like, even when Jessica was making Reese and Malcolm think that the other one was gay to fuck with them. Get them to get their goat and all. It was never implied that either brother, they were uncomfortable with each other, but they were never unsupportive. They were very supportive. But in fact, they gave each other gifts when they thought the other one was gay. They also had the whole episode with the whole Stan D thing, which has the hilarious thing of like Lois and Malcolm basically beefing, and Lois trying to make Malcolm seem like a racist, and Abe's poker buddies essentially being like, yeah, we're not getting involved in this. This is stupid. And it's a pretty funny little like subversion of tropes. And it's, there's all kinds of stuff in the original show. At least Lois, even like a Reese's Army buddy having a crush on Lois, and her not being offended by it, just kind of wondering if she gives off, lesbian vibes, whatever. It's a show that has always been woke. There's been things in the show, yeah, maybe you could say in the early 2000s that maybe more things they wouldn't do. They wouldn't be as push boundaries now as they do then. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they still were pretty on swinging for offenses then, but there are things they wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know how that is and how different it would be. But for the most part, again, it is a show that's always like been pretty progressive and forward thinking in its humor. The fact that it always just centered around this family and their quirks and their weirdness. So it's really stupid to already have the argument. This is stupid anyway to use the argument of woke, because woke, that just stands for whatever offends the Klansman easily. Let's be real, that's what it means. It's fucking dumb. But these people are incredibly stupid. And the thing too is like they're making a big deal about. Read my notes here. They're gonna be about Kelly. That at 5, like why are they pushing this ideology that they knew they were different, just their gender. And the thing is like, I can say for a fact when I was 5, I had a crush on a girl. I knew I had a crush on a girl. I knew I liked the girl at that point, right? Didn't have a crush on a guy until 14, but regardless, 5, I knew that I had feelings. I knew that I liked her. If you know things when when you're young, you can understand and accept things. Like people are wired different, not just the way it is. And of course, they try to make it all weird and stupid. And now, even in the canon of logical stuff here, Francis was a destructive baby to the point that Lois thought he was like evil in the show, and treats it as like he's doing these destructive things on purpose, intentionally, to try to run their lives and stuff. And that's the canon of the show itself. Like, think about how that makes. So why is that so weird that someone at 5 would know that they might not be the gender they were born as, assigned at birth? I mean, that's the canon of the show. And even Jamie, to an extent, we've seen in the original show before the end, that some of the stuff he was doing seemed like he was destructive on purpose. And like, maybe those aren't the best examples, because that's more of like the show being a bit silly and wackety smackety. I'm talking a lot about Malcolm Powell. This video is just about Malcolm. But no, I just want to point out these shows, and I really did like the show. And I hope we get more of it. We get a weird bit here that like Linwood Boomer has said that Hulu told him they won't tell him the numbers that it's getting, but if the numbers get good enough, they'll let him do more episodes. Now, I don't know what that entails. I don't know if that means it'd be a one-off movie this time, if it'd be 4 episodes like a movie, like an arc, like this kind of was, or maybe a full. I don't think it'll ever be like a full 22 episode season. I think that ship has sailed for most shows, like unless there's maybe some network shows, but I just don't think that's a thing anymore. But he said that they won't tell him the number, but if the number's good, they'll let him do it either way. Which gets me to a point I'm really annoyed with. Like, it is so fucking ridiculous, right? That in this age we're in, that these creators and these people working on this stuff, that are trying, to do what they're trying to do, and they don't want to share the numbers. They don't share the stream numbers with the audience either, for that matter. People watching, we don't know. Like, another one famously is that Tony Khan, and nobody at AEW knows the numbers for like Dynamite, Collision, like nothing they run at like streams also on HBO Max. When they streams it, they don't know what these numbers are. And it's weird because like this is such a pretty horrible tactic to have, because that means the people in charge of the streamers have all the hands. Like they have it all. Like they can go like, well, we don't want to put your show because you didn't get like X amount of numbers, and meanwhile you did get X amount of numbers, but you don't have any proof that you did. And it's just a horrible way of doing things. Like, say what you want about the old business model, like TV ratings and whatnot. It's just basically out the window now. Not completely, but like mostly all gone, right? Like, for whatever it's worth, at least that you had a tangible number you could see. And then, granted, I'm sure there were executives who would like use some bullshit logic, like, oh, you got good ratings, but you didn't get good ad revenue or whatever, yada yada yada. But it's just such a manipulative, gaslighting business practice to be like, we're not gonna tell you the numbers, especially when like, but if you get good numbers and they're good enough, we'll let you make more. That's like moving the carrot. And I hope that they aren't fucking with it. Like, screw Hulu and Disney and these freaking assholes and women, they're all a bunch of fucking little capitalist pig dog motherfucking greedy cunts. I mean, they are, but selfishly, I just hope that he can do it. But you know, I hope he doesn't. Hopefully we get more. Hopefully I can see it. I have no idea when. Yeah, but best case scenario, like a couple years maybe next year. Like they could probably film it this year if they worked it out. I will say I'm at least happy Lin-Manuel Brewer got, that Bryan Cranston got his wish. He said that he was, I don't remember what he said, but he said he had till he died that he was going to try to convince Lin-Manuel Brewer before either Lin-Manuel died or before Bryan died to play Malcolm in the Middle one time. So he clearly is a dude who loved playing Hal. I'm sure, I know he loved playing Walter White, and he loves a lot of his roles, but he loved Hal, and I think he wanted to do that again, and that's wonderful. Like, you don't get a lot of stuff like that. It's kind of cool. You know, even though I wish we could have got this sooner, it is kind of like that unique way of doing things. Anyway, though, I had some things, here's some thoughts. I'm sure like most who watch this may be like, well, how would they do it if they did more? Here's some of my ideas I had. And here's, like, you know, this is just the stuff I had like mine. So first of all, I think one problem that this series did have a little bit, this like center miniseries, is that Malcolm is separated from the family for most of the episode. Like his parents and his brothers and his sibling. You know, he's separated from them. He's there with his daughter, and he's kept her secret, you know, for her entire life, which I think is like 12, 13 years ago. He's kept the secret, and in the show we established that he seems to be doing pretty well. He runs a non-profit, and the idea I have here is that there's two ways you could go about that. Basically, the idea would be like he has to somehow come back home for a little while at least and stay with the family. And also, if you've seen the show, you know that Francis and Biama are here right now for the 40th. Biama's pregnant, and you would assume that they, at some point, are gonna leave that because Francis still has a good job and all, and this is just temporary for the 40. But for the points of this thing, I'm just gonna assume it's like an 8-episode arc, in my opinion. Like, we can go deeper, but I'll just go with 8. Maybe your version would be 10, 12 maybe, but I'll go with 8 because double the length. Nah, you know, I'll go with 10. Screw it. Go crazy. 10 episodes where they're not all going to be like one story. They're going to be different. There might be some that are crossover, 2 parts, maybe running storylines. Because there's one big running storyline. It's like how you got Francis Alaska running storyline, and in general, other like kind of running stuff going on. I'm trying to think, like, not recently in the Army so much, like the trio with Hal and all that stuff. Okay, which, pay attention to that. So, the first idea I have, like the way I was set up, is that basically it's summertime, and Leah's like, she says, you know, Dad, I really appreciate the time I spent with Grandma and Grandpa and our nieces and uncles, but I need to see them again. Like, there's 10 years plus of memories I don't have with them. So I think this summer we need to go home and live with them for a while. And Malcolm's like, no, that's, you know, okay. We're just starting to get along again. Maybe it was wrong for me to hide everybody. I admit that, but that is a step too far. We can't do that. And he's like, please, Dad, just take me. And eventually, she wears it down. He gets somebody to look over the company while he's gone. And he rents an RV. And then somehow, some way, he gets the RV there. But then when he gets there, he's living in the RV. Like maybe the first episode, he's in the RV. And he's just chilling. He has outside. But then something happens to the RV and he gets messed up and he has to move back into the house. And maybe like share a room with like Francis or something. I mean, also because of the dynamic of Leah, Kelly, and Jamie, who I guess would be on leave from the Army. Marines, yeah, he's in the Marines. On leave from the Marines. And have him split a room. Or maybe it would just be Kelly and Leah in one room, and then Jamie's in another. And then, if Reese, I did not really establish if Reese is even living there again, because he left at the end of the finale to live with Craig. I don't really know that one. I think we'd have to set up that he is, and that just have Francis Biamba just like say they're staying here a little longer too for some reason. Like, I don't have all the kinks right out. But that's one idea. And that would be like the beginning idea, that they have to, Leah wants to stay here, and that can be like the running theme of the season. And granted, that's just like the setup for getting Malcolm in there. You know. Number 2 though is actually a callback. So because we've established he has a company that is non-profit, I think what you could say is a callback with Hal, who got set up for insider trading I'm thinking itself something like a parody around stuff going on around the time. And Malcolm's company gets set up for insider trading. And Malcolm tries to, he fights it in court. And he gets found innocent, but he ends up losing all his money. And he has no choice but to sell the company. And he has to move back home. And like, I feel like that's more, like the first one is a bit more of a happy, rosy ending for Malcolm, that he still gets to have some dignity and he has some choice in matter. This is more like him coming with his tail tucked between his legs. And that does fit more the theme of life, still unfair. And that might be with the better option here, go that route, especially with the callback to the insider. You could even have like a scene between him and Hal, where he's like, I can't believe, maybe like a funny joke would be like, I can't believe 2 members of his family got set up for insider trading, innocent twice, and maybe he had a reason to comment like, yeah, if I would have known that, I should have did actual insider trading. I mean, what are the odds that I would get caught? Since we got away with it, we got charged with knowing it, and we got away with it twice for something like that. I don't know what stories you could do here. I mean, the idea I would have was like, you would have to probably rotate because there's so many people in the cast. You couldn't, like watching The Boys season 5, I like a lot of the characters, but there's so many characters, sometimes it's overloaded that I kind of get like them switching around and you don't see everybody as much as some episodes. This is kind of similar thing, like you might have to like try to go like, okay, so Jamie isn't in this episode, he had to go back to the army or whatever, but this next episode, Jamie's here a lot, he's doing some stuff. And that's the thing, like, the thing would be like, this more stuff with Jamie, more stuff with Kelly, who we got probably the most. Like, Leah and Kelly are 2 characters we get the most of, new characters. But we don't still know a whole lot about either one. And especially with Kelly, because they grew up in that house, and presumably were pretty close with Dewey. But especially with Jamie, you would have to assume, because that's their closest relative in age. Whereas Dewey is 12 when they're born. And, in a few years, going to be leaving the house because they have to go be a touring musician and all this. And have to say Dewey, maybe just if you have to, maybe have him just appear in like 1 episode. I would say maybe 1 to 3. And of course, Hercules and Cynthia, best case scenario would be at least Hercules in like 1 episode. But you could have him like best of Winham somehow. Maybe he's a dude who like had something to do with the insider trading, or maybe I don't know. I'm trying to think here. I will say Life's real piece of sitcom did bring up, I think it was Jake, brought up the possibility of like Hercules being the president. I would absolutely love that. Like if he just showed up at the house, he's the president. That would be hilarious. You could even have a bit there where Marcus like, yeah, you wouldn't be the president. That's a sucker's job anyway. And then you have Hercules be like, oh, it really makes you the green-eyed monster is another big one, isn't it, Malcolm, or something like. Really good, grind his gears. Anyway, let's talk about some other stuff. I talked a lot about Malcolm. I loved it, clearly. I want more. I need more. Something else I need more. The Grande Americano. El Grande Americano. The original Grande Americano. Máscara de la Máscara match from Grande Noches a couple weeks ago. Now, if you've heard about this match, let's see if you have. Hold on. This match was freaking fantastic. That's the best way to say it. It's an amazing match. I mean, Meltzer gave it 5.75 stars, I think. I gave it at least 5 lightning bolts. Amazing stuff. They told a great story. It was so much. It was overbooked, but fun overbooked. You had like Pimpinellas there with a guitar, El Cabong style. Hello, Jeff Jarrett. The blind comedian that original Grande attacked earlier in this feud. He was there and starts whacking him with his walking stick, which was amazing. You had, of course, the Credo brothers got involved, the Americanos, they were going crazy. You had blood pretty early on. The ripped mask on both of them. Like, it was a war. They just went to town. And every weird. Like the crowd was electric for it. It is an amazing match. It's not like the best match ever, like some people are claiming. But it's an amazing match, and I highly recommend watching it on YouTube if you can. You will not be disappointed. It's a long match, so sit in, get you some snacks, get you some drinks, get whatever, get you situated and comfortable. Make sure you have at least an hour to clear. I don't think it's a full hour, but with entrances and everything, and you're gonna want to see the entrances because they are incredible. By all means, and yeah, just good stuff. Chad Gable got a mask here. Sorry for the spoiler, I guess. But Chad Gable got a mask. and he gave a great little moment afterward, and this was just so well done. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say everything W's done with Triple A has been fantastic. I'm not kissing their ass, and it's like a lot of people are. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Oof. A lot of people are doing that. They've been doing it, for a while, and especially Undertaker, who is not the only booker at a company, by the way. But this, like, whoever was wrong with this, yeah, y'all did amazing work. And shouts out Ludwig Kaiser and Chad Gable for a masterpiece. Shouts out Ludwig Kaiser for, like, fully getting into this character so beloved and so doing all these different facets of it. He's like the Bryan Cranston, and this character is like his Hal, Or maybe would it be Walter White in this case? I don't know. Take your pick. They're both good. They're both amazing. And I was going to talk about, Frankie Muniz connection again. I get to talk about Pizza Man. I saw it. This is on YouTube. It's a movie I saw that came out in 2011. And, this is a fun little wacky, smacky superhero movie where Frankie Muniz is a pizza man. If you couldn't guess. Who accidentally gets, like, these powers from this gel. He's, like, bulletproof and stuff. And he's got a pizza suit on. Or he's, like, the mascot for his pizza. He's this college kid. And he likes this girl. And he gets involved in stuff where DDP basically becomes Two-Face. And they want to get the power from him because he's the only one that's been able to use it. It's just going over it. Oh, it's hard to remember everything. I will say, I won't spoil too much. There is a great Adam West cameo in this. It's really funny. Really esoteric. Adam West is such an odd guy to me. I mean that respectfully because I like everything that I see him in except Batman. I don't like him in Batman. I just don't like the Batman show. It's just too silly to me. Doesn't feel like Batman to me, Lego Batman's one thing, like Lego Batman movies put out, because that's supposed to be. So it's supposed to be a comedy. Like this is supposed to be a serious show most of the time with a little comedy sprinkled in, but it just feels too silly. And I don't like the Kapals, and I do think Adam West is a funny ass dude, and he's a fun dude to watch. He's great in Family Guy, for example. But yeah, he has a great cameo in this. I feel like there was another. Oh, there's a freaking Heroes reference, where like two characters from the show. They're the same actors, just show up with their powers, and it's never explained, and they just leave. And it's like, I marked that as art. So Carrie coded. So Deadpan coded. Yeah, doggo. Yeah, that's another one. I have some other movies here for you, too. What if I told you there's a vampire movie that's like Lost Boys mixed with Blade in Vietnam? That would be Daydreamers. Now, Daydreamers is this movie, and it's on Tubi. Highly recommend it. It's basically where it is. This one dude, he lives on a boat with these vampires who don't drink human blood. They don't drink human blood. They abstain from human blood because they believe in this myth that there was this monk who became a vampire. And he went crazy, killing everybody. And one day, he looked at himself and he thought he was a monster. He's like, I can't do this. He locked himself in a cave, put a rock in front of the cave, and he stayed in the cave for 200 years. After 200 years, he didn't drink a single drop of human blood. He leaves the cave, and immediately he runs and he sees a woman, and he runs up to her, and he realizes he's in the sunlight, and he doesn't have the craving for her blood, and he's human again. So they believe in this. But this guy, he's kind of like their dude that gets them supplies and stuff, and his brother is like the opposite. He's in the other world, where he's just with this vampire queen lady. They go out and they party. And like raves and they drink blood, and it's all based up like he goes out one time with his brother, and they have a night out in the club and things start going awry. And there's also this girl there that he like kind of helped out earlier while he was driving his bike. She got on his bike because he was running from girls who were after her to hurt her, and he kind of doesn't want anything to do with her, but she gets it wrapped up in this stuff. And I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a great movie. It has a lot of good action. Good story, good soundtrack. The soundtrack's freaking incredible. Like the music's so the ambience is so good. Just good stuff. And there's a lot of good characters in it too. Highly recommend it if you're in the mood for a vampire movie. It's a bit long. It's like 2.5 hours, so get ready for that. Pizza Man's like 90 minutes. But yeah, Tubi. And the last one, this one is not on Tubi, I think it's on Amazon. And this might be a little harder, but it's a movie called Humble Pie that I watched recently. That I forgot I had a DVD of. And this is basically just like an indie kind of comedy, kind of with quirky, where his character, he's like a grocery store dude who's in his 20s. He lives with his mom and his sister, and he decides to take an acting class from a guy played by Billy Baldwin, I believe. And his name is Truman Hope. Great name. And Truman Hope basically like becomes his friend and acting coach, but then other stuff starts going down in his life, and it's kind of hard to explain without spoiling it. It's a very much a vibes movie. The basic gist of it is like he starts out, he's just wants to be an actor better, and there's a dynamic too where his mom is like really rude to him and his sister, but it's funny rude. Yeah, just stuff like that. I definitely would recommend that one too if you're interested in watching that cool like 90-minute kind of quirky comedy from the 2000s. Excuse me. Anyway, I think that's about it. Yeah. That's about it, and go out and do what you do, have some fun, take a little time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.